Okay, now you're recording.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Well, I will start with the welcome then, the Julie Fellowships. You've got the Julie duo. We do this together, so if you get emails or phone calls, you're going to have to guess which one you're talking to sometime. Not really, but we do this together, and it's a great thing to have people to lock arms with, to do ministry with, and we're excited to connect with you all. Some of you we've known for a while, some of you we've walked this journey with before, and some are brand new to Hearts of Compassion and what we have to offer. So what we want to go through today are just some opportunities that are available for this calendar year. And just to kind of walk you through more specifically how our ministry functions, and then allow you a chance to ask questions. And for those of you who are present, y'all have a big task, because I need you to listen intently and anything that doesn't make sense or any gap that we leave, I need you to ask those questions, because the people on the camera are counting on it. They can actually text Robert if they have a question too, but we're also recording this for other families for later. And so one thing that you'll have to forgive us on is the fact that we talk this talk every day all the time, and sometimes we forget to explain ourselves on certain things. So we're going to do
Makes complete sense to us.
Yeah, it's always making sense in our head, but we want it to make sense to you all too. And so Julie's going to start us off just with sharing a little bit about where we've come from as far as ministry, why we started, the purpose, and then I'll take us into then what are the opportunities for this year.
Did we pray?
No, we didn't know. Would you do? We should do that. We should.
Okay, let's pray as we get started. Ava, you want to pray? God, we love you and are so thankful for this time together with these friends. And I just pray that as we talk about Hearts of Compassion, Lord, that you would just fill this room and help us to encourage each other and just see ways that you can help us put more children in loving homes, Lord. We love you and we honor you today. In Jesus' name. All right, so a little background of Hearts of Compassion and where we came from. Well, I'll start with me, and then we'll go to Hearts of Compassion. I'm married to Jerry Welch, he's outside, and we have 3 children. Tyler is 15, Gibson is 12, and Maggie is 8. They're all 3 adopted. So we have 3 adopted children. Robert and Julie have 3 biological children so far. And so that's kind of where we come from family-wise, but how adoption, how God put that seed in my heart. Before Jerry and I got married, we were still dating, and he was an after-school coordinator at a church in Clinton, and he said, you know, I don't know if God's going to call us to foster care or adoption or what, but I really feel that, you know, I feel that's something for us, and I'm like, no way, you know, you're going to curse me. I was not open to that at all. Total skeptical. So if one of you or both of you or you have friends that are like that, you know, I get it, because I was not there. So we get married, we moved to Texas for him to go to seminary, and I needed a job. And so I had been working at the seminary, but we didn't have good insurance, and some friends of ours worked at an adoption agency. And she said, we really need somebody to come over and do this job, and there's really great insurance. And I'm like, I'm there, insurance, that's what we need. And it's just funny how God, you know, just put me right in the place. I worked with families with their paperwork before they went to the social workers, and my office was right next door to the placement room. So day in and day out, I saw placements all day long. So, you know, God, of course, changed my heart, and I saw the greater picture of what adoption is and means. And here we are. We've been married 20 years, and 3 adoptions later, and a heart for ministry to pour into other families who are adopting. So that's kind of my background. Do you want to share yours before I go into Hearts of Compassion?
Sure.
Pick on the spot.
Yes. We didn't talk about that. No, I guess, you know, kind of through college, even when we were dating, we would talk about things like maybe we'll adopt one day, and so we've always had a heart for it, but God had never really centered us in on that being a focus. And even, you know, child-wise so far, we had not had that calling in our life, even though after Hudson came along, there was a long period of time we were not able to have kids between he and Bentley. But I knew that it was not the time, it was not the calling, but it just kind of happened through us running together and talking, and she would talk about all these adoption-related ministry ideas, and I would go, "That's great, honey. I'll be your #1 fan." And it wasn't until this guy over here came along with his family, and Michael is on our praise team and is our interim music minister, and his wife is Karen, and they had kids at home already and were homeschooling, and they had a heart to adopt, but were just running into some walls as far as financing was going, and trying to figure out the money part of it. And so they were actually at a stage where they were stopping the process, and when Julie and I found out about that, we're both like, okay, that's not okay, you know. And so that was the birthing of this ministry, was just having that it's not okay moment. You know, career-wise, he's an FBI agent, and so he, you know, serves to protect us on a daily basis. He's in his second stint with us as interim music minister, and so as he's, you know, got Plan A job, he's doing this, which is a huge investment. You know, and if a family that is called, that are believers, are called to adopt, like, we know God owns it all. He has it. And so for us, it was just a matter of seeing the need for someone to pull together the resources. And it just hit us that we didn't want that to ever be the case for any family, especially in our church, that they would have that heart to adopt, but that would stop because it was overwhelming, it was so expensive, they didn't have anybody to help. And so our main focus for Hearts of Compassion is fundraising. It's the financial side of things, but it's also the awareness side of things. And so as you walk out your journey, you're impacting so many others. You know, just looking at the people in the room, you know, just you guys moving into Christ Covenant School, like your last journey with Sue Ling, you know, just that process has already affected so many other people. And so as y'all do this again, it's going to have that same effect. And so that's what we want to do, is we want to tell your stories. We want to highlight you. We want to bring attention to the fact of what God's called you to do, so that other people can kind of wrap around you and help you in that process, because you're not meant to walk this by yourself, for sure. And
so she kind of hit our two main objectives for Hearts of Compassion, is awareness and fundraising. And we want to be encouragers to those of you who and we're really connectors, because not that we have all the encouragement, but putting y'all together and letting you walk it together. It's fun to see the families over the past 5 years who have connected and journeyed this together. So we're here just to help with funding and awareness and encouragement. Yes?
there you go.
You want to talk about the 5K?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that. So when we started, we knew right off the bat we needed to do something fundraising focused. And so the question was, what, how, when, and where are we going to do this? We are not like Lane. He is a professional fundraiser. We are not.
You need to help it, train it.
So, oh, don't worry, I've picked his brain for a couple of years now. Right after I met Lane, I was like, we're going to all have lunch together. And so, but actually, it was kind of a part of that process. Christ Covenant had a 5K that they did in the fall, and they stopped doing that. And so it was about that time that we saw the timing of that would be good, the course would be good. It was, you know, a time of year that was already established, so we kind of latched on to that. And so this fall will be our 5th 5K race. And so the first race, it was all about money to go into the general fund. Actually, that and the second race. It was with the third race that, as our leaders were together in a room just kind of brainstorming, the idea came up of how do we allow people, you know, like the first year Michael was a huge part of the race, but he had no way to make the race help him more in the funding. He had a matching grant from us, but they didn't have a way to make that grow bigger through the race. And so, and that's what we're finding, is that so many of our families who were getting matching grants and loans from us as a ministry were also super involved. So if they're going to be super involved, let's find a way to let them utilize this more. So that was the thought process. But let me take a step back from the 5K. As we started this ministry, the first thing we did was we were looking for ministry partners. We knew that we could start our own nonprofit, and we were willing to do that, but we wanted to seek out other people who knew more than we do. And so in the process, we found Lifelong for Orphans. And so outside of the race, for anybody who is adopting, anybody can apply, whether they're church members or not, they can apply for a matching grant or no interest loan. And the way that we do that is you fill out an application, and that goes to Lifesong. So as we're fundraising and doing all this, all our money goes to them. And they manage it, they do the taxes, they do the administrative stuff, and they do all of that for free for us. They are extraordinarily amazing, wonderful people. And we love working with them on a daily basis. So as you know, if this is something that you want to do, whether you don't have to do the race to apply for a grant or a loan. And so as they look at those applications, it helps us. Yes?
One thing, there is a joint application that's a Hearts of Compassion and Lifesong application that will come straight from our fund. If you go to their Lifesong, because I just had this question come up, somebody went to the Lifesong for Orphans website, printed out their application. That's for Lifesong's general fund. So if you want to apply for Hearts of Compassion,
Yes.
you have to get the application from us. Okay.
Yes, that's a good point to be made. And so, grabbing my train of thought.
Sorry.
So you can apply for that no interest loan or grant outside of doing the race. And then what they do is, from their background of expertise and knowledge of doing this often, they are looking at your application, they're making recommendations to us, and that way we're never the ones to accept or deny or anything. They're doing that from their expertise, and they're doing that by a set of guidelines and standards that we've given them that fit the mission of this ministry. And so that's how things come to us. But if you want to participate in the 5K, you do have to have that application done, and you have to have a fund set up with them. And so basically what we're looking for this year is we have 10 available spots for adopting families. The 5K race is October the 22nd. There'll actually be kind of weekend-long events, or events throughout the whole weekend, but the race is the morning of the 22nd. What we'll do is, through our already approved families and then families from here on that are applying to Lifesong with our fund, we're going to take the first 10 that fit with the mission of our ministry, that say that they want to utilize this as a fundraiser. And so that keeps it easier for us, in that it's, you know, at least somewhat for first come, first serve. And we have 10 spots basically because we want this to be a time that we actually are able to minister to you and encourage you, and beyond that point it kind of gets to where we can't really get to everybody and do the things that we would like to do. And so and then what that looks like is well, and just to say, we've got several people who have sent in applications. We've got people that their applications are sitting on the desk, people that are going in soon, and so we've got people all different stages. Don't worry about that part of it. Just don't. This is kind of a good thing, that if you really want to do it, just don't hesitate. You know, just go ahead and get in the process, and don't procrastinate on the application. And so you're already accustomed to paperwork if you're in the process. And so, so with our 10 families, what we want you to do is, if you've ever done like a St. Jude or supported someone who's done like a St. Jude marathon or half marathon, it's the same type concepts. I see often in adopted families that as you're doing fundraisers, I've heard people say quite often, like, I feel like I'm selling or asking the same people over and over, you know, I'm doing a t-shirt and now I'm doing this and now I'm doing this. And it's the same people that are buying it every single time. Okay, so there are people that want to be involved in your adoption that, you know, is at a greater distance than your inner circle. And so what we want you to do is to go to those inner circle people and say, would you be a part of my team for our race on October the 22nd? And so just for the sake of throwing out numbers, let's say you go to 10 people that these are just people that they ask you often how it's going, tell you that they're praying for you, is there anything they can do? You know, just those people that are already kind of their heart's in it, you know, or just people that are really close to you that you want them to see through your journey, you want them to see something bigger with what God is doing in the world of orphan care and adoption. So you go to those people and you establish your team first. And your team can be as big or as little as you want it to be, but of course big is better because it's going to be helpful. So for you in each of those team members, and there's going to be some caveats to this in a minute, but for you in each of those team members, the first thing that you do is once we start race registration is you do the race registration yourself. And so that registration money is the only place from your team that money is going to come into our general fund. And so that helps keep us focused on the primary focus of the race, which is to replenish the fund so we can keep saying yes to lots of families like you guys. Then beyond that, what your team does is they go out and they ask people, would you sponsor me in this race? You know, you can throw out ideas for your team the way you want to. You know, would you sponsor me for $10 in this race, $20, anything, $1? Whatever it is, but you send them out to then recruit their sponsors. Now, what we have found as being very useful for this is a visual representation of all of those people on race day. And so visually first, what is a lot of fun is that for you and your teams, if you have an adoption t-shirt that you're doing for your adoption, if your whole team can wear that shirt, it just makes for awesome, you know, team camaraderie during the day. And our people that are just there to run, that have no clue anything about any family that's adopting, they're going to see you, you know, and you're going to be impacting others just by the presence of your team. But also, Abby Blackburn was one of our mamas in the first year that we did this, and she's very teacher-minded. She had the great idea of, for each team member to have little handprint stickers. And they had a handprint for every sponsor that team member had. And so every team member ran with the little stickers on their shirt of all the sponsors that they had through the process. And so it was just, again, a really neat visual representation of how many people were involved in this process. And so it's just kind of a blessing to see, because if you're running the 5K and you're following one of those people, you know, it makes an impact, you know. And then it's good too, just because when you're saying, would you sponsor me, I'm going to write your name on the sticker. Some of our others last year, if they're adopting from China, they did a sticker in the shape of China. And so personalize it to something that fits you and your family. But those visual representations impact others, but it also makes it make more sense to your team members. And so if you can give them 20 stickers and say, I'd like for you to come up with 20 sponsors, see if you can fill all of these out. And so then on race day, we're going to recognize you and your team. We're going to share with the group at large. Last year we had 5. What was our registration last year, Robert?
It was over 400.
So over 400 people registered last year, and so being able to bring you up in front during awards time and share with people where you're adopting from, you know, and share a little bit about your story, and for them to see your team again, it's just a really neat environment to be in. On Friday nights before the race, we have packet pickup here at the church, but we're also going to have a dinner up here for all the adoptive families to get together. We hope to have some of our Lifesong friends in from Illinois, as they generally like to visit us, but I have to make sure they can do it this year. But it's a good time for you to get to know them face to face, as you'll be, you know, working with them too, with the process with your own accounts with them. Your accounts, when you apply to Lifesong and you have an account set up with them, everything that your people send in is tax deductible. There is no red tape with Lifesong. One of our main criteria when we were looking at who to partner with, if we would let anyone manage our fund, is the ease of use in the process. And so it doesn't help you pay bills if they say, we're not going to pay a bill for you until everything's complete, you know, because in the process, what are you doing? Lifesong functions in real time, and anything adoption related you can be reimbursed for, and they will actually pay your bills directly to the agency from your fund. And so they're a blessing to work with, and that accountability is great, not just for you, but for the people that are giving on your behalf. Too often we've seen adoption processes that start with great intentions, but 3 years in, there's still no child, and maybe they stop the process, and what happens to that money? You know, and with LifeSong, what we know is if that money is in that fund, it will go to someone who is adopting, period. You know, and that's the kind of integrity and accountability that you want to have when you're, you know, raising funds like that. So, what I forget?
One thing LifeSong is really good about too is helping you share your story. They're going to walk you through, you know, what is a great way to do that and the best way to get the word out, and we'll be there to help you with that too. We're not just going to go get a team, go build a team, and bring in some money. You know, we're going to walk with you through those steps, and LifeSong's really good about that too. And with the, you know, you can do this with letters or email or whatever. LifeSong has a donate button, so if you want to do all your letters electronically, that little donate button, it'll go straight into your fund. So we try to make it easy. And the tax deductible thing really is a plus, because people will give more when they know that it's going to be a write-off. So that's good. And again, that's no expense to us. LifeSong is really, really amazing. The weekend of, like she said, we'll do the Friday night dinner for the families. We'll be in this room and we just kind of gather. This year we're going to get our biggest sponsors to come in here as well, just so that they can kind of see a little more about Hearts of Compassion, which I'm excited about that. And then the race Saturday morning, and then I'm not sure yet what Sunday will look like during the worship service, because then we all go out to eat, usually eat Burgers and Blues, and they donate a big chunk to our fund as well. So
it'll be our desire to observe Orphan Sunday here on that following Sunday, and so we've got to work out all those details. But Burgers and Blues has always been, or for a while, have been really good to us and donating a portion, and so it kind of puts the bow on the end of the weekend, and it's a lot of fun just to fellowship with the church body. And
to
that
take
way,
over the restaurant.
Yeah, we for real do. So, but you have people around you that you like, so if you have to wait a while for a burger, it's not a big deal. And so I want to let Michael and Darling share if y'all. I'm totally putting y'all on the spot. But anything that y'all want, Darling and Daniel have been through this process one time, and y'all did a team, right?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all were the first year that we did a team, and I'm not going to tell your story. You tell it.
I can't remember. Oh my God.
Well, let me help you. Okay, your adoption took how long?
About 5 months.
Okay,
5 months.
From beginning to about 5 months.
So
That's not normal.
Yeah. They had an extraordinarily quick adoption. Do you remember the number about how much came in through your matching grant and your sponsors?
I think it was about 13,000.
Yeah, somewhere between 13 and 15. And so, you know, that's about half of an adoption right there. And for theirs to have gone so quickly, you know, it was one of those God moments where we were going, thank you, Lord, for bringing these ideas at the right time, you know.
And that's a good point about the matching grants. You may get a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 matching grant, but our goal is not for you to double that money. That is seed money.
Yes.
So if you get $3,000 matching grant, that gives you an opportunity to go tell your story, and we want to see 15 come in on top of that, you know. Because a lot of times people will give more too when they know that it's going to be matched dollar for dollar. So
yeah, that's what I say often is when you've got that matching grant that you can tell people, it takes the people from thinking about doing something to doing something, you know, because they see it's going to count for more. And so, so what we're doing really is the seed money to get your momentum rolling and an opportunity just to be able to utilize an event that we are already planning, you know, for your own benefit, to kind of run with that. And so Michael, is there anything that you want to add in story-wise or?
I would just say that the race is extremely well done for folks that are non-professionals. You know, these guys do a really, really good job, and I would strongly encourage you guys to get involved. The brilliance of recruiting a team, which we didn't do because we were brand new at it, and we're learning as we went. The brilliance of that is that the folks you recruit all have a completely, usually a different set of friends. There's low-hanging fruit that each one of those people have that you just don't have access to. And so that's just, it's a force multiplier. It's kind of a no-brainer. You should do that big time. And use this as the genesis of the beefy part of what you're dealing with your fund, because as you all know, I mean, it's a very expensive process. And so you get a whole lot of folks involved, it's going to definitely ease the blow to you guys, for sure. So hit it hard, and we'll help you any way we can.
That's good. Lane's heard me say this before, but anytime we do something new, we have to have a good guinea pig. You know, someone with a lot of grace for us as we figure it out. And the Far Hearts were that for Hearts of Compassion. And they stuck with us. It's a good thing. All right, we got one text question. What if you've gotten your child before the race? Can you still fundraise and participate in the race? That's a really good question. Generally, once the adoption is complete, the fundraising part ends on the lifelong part of things. But because this is an event-specific date, even if your adoption is finalized before then, we can continue. We'll have basically a cutoff date, so it's not a never-ending type thing. But yes, if you apply now and you're accepted and you're in the process, you can keep fundraising through that time of grace.
So,
I'll open it.
I was going to say, I like what Michael said, hit it hard, because it really is a work program. You know, the more people that you can, you know, pull together on your team, and then, you know, the more that they can do, it multiplies.
We've seen some pretty crazy numbers coming in when you really do hit it hard, when you really recruit some folks, and they just have a heart for what you're doing, and they get out there and they really get it too. It's been really impressive and helpful. Go for it.
Yeah, and bringing your team members into this environment, they're exposed so much more. Like if they haven't been exposed to adoption or orphan care a lot to this point, they're exposed so much more at that stage. And so people will start seeing the need for a ministry in their own church, or develop the heart to adopt themselves. And that's, you know, as great as it is for you personally to bring a child into your home, if you inspire 20 others to do the same thing, like, wow, you know. And that's what the coming together part of things is able to do. So, questions? Putting the people in the room on the spot, y'all.
So I'll throw out this question. I think I know the answer, but I'll ask you anyway. So do each adoption couple get the exact returns of what their teams raise, or is it a collective pot that everybody splits evenly no matter how much comes in from each couple?
Good question. It's specific to you and your team.
Okay.
And so you and your team members and what they bring in goes directly to you. And so if you apply and you get a matching grant, what your team members are bringing in goes directly to that match.
You have your own account at that point. We have, Hearts of Compassion has an account, but once you're approved, you get your own number. And so any dollars you bring in goes directly to your account.
I've got
Yes.
what I feel like maybe a dumb question, but
No
I've
dumb
never been a
question.
part of 5K races. So when you say team members, you're talking about a team that you put together, and those team members are runners. Is that right?
Well, okay, that's a really
That's
good
a
question.
good
You get an A+ for that
Great
question.
question.
So, or
This
were you
is-
getting to that?
This is not, no, I'm glad you said that, because I would have, but I kind of skipped over that thought. You do not have to be a runner to do this. Your team members do not have to be runners. There will be a handful of people in this group that are competitive runners. Everybody else is there for fun.
Like 2.
Depends on if Ford comes or not.
Yeah.
So you've got mamas pushing strollers. You know, you can walk the course if you want to, walk quickly so that we can move on with the day. But yeah, they do not have to be.
We had a strolling, what's it called, a shopping cart one year. Somebody pushed somebody in a shopping cart, so, you know, whatever.
The only thing that we do not want are children walking with you, because that can be a safety issue. And so if you've got younger children with you, they have to be in a stroller strapped in because you're on the road with traffic. And so, yes.
Plus, Angels will be there too.
Awesome. Yes. Ansley's Angels is have y'all heard of them? They're a running group where they represent families that have kids with disabilities who can't run themselves, and so they push them in races, and so it's really neat. They bring a whole different dynamic of just sweetness, to the race, and so we're excited to have them. Pray it doesn't rain because they can't get their equipment out with it raining, and so we missed them last year for that reason. So, but
Where is the race?
it starts here. So the race is here. Everything will be here on campus, and then the 5K, you'll go out the main entrance, and you'll turn left and kind of run back around the church, and then go towards the mall, into the mall parking lot, and back up. So after our 5K is over, we'll have a 1 mile fun run for the kids, which is also timed and awards are given, and so that's a lot of fun because we always have lots of kids. And we'll have, jumpies and fun things just to make it kind of a fun family day. We'll also have a silent auction that's pretty big, so you can come do your Christmas shopping in the process. So just a lot happening at once.
There are folks that are monitoring all the turns for the race that are out there. It's very, obvious where your turns are. Richland Police Department is heavily involved in the safety aspect of it since we're out on the road with traffic and all that. So, as I said, it's very, very well done. Nobody's got hurt yet or lost or anything like that. So, yeah.
We're going to keep that track record.
Yeah.
There has been precedent set for bodies in front of cars that have to happen. We won't go there though.
But as you do get your team together, they're the ones who will come on the morning of and kind of, be your support system and walk the race. Is that mine?
Yep.
Sorry.
All right, any other questions?
This might be a technical thing I could ask later, but so say my best friend from teaching, she goes and gets support. When she gets that support, are they making a check out to her or giving her cash? How do you
Good
organize
question.
that?
If they want it to be tax deductible, they need to make it out to Lifelong for Orphans,
Okay.
and you can gather all of those and you can send them in yourself or your friend can send them in.
Okay.
And so just kind of work with your team and see what's best. If they're giving cash, eventually someone has got to put that in form of a check to send it to Lifelong with your account number on it.
Okay, so maybe it might be best to say, here's our account number,
Mhm.
so we have that ahead of time.
Right, or they can just, if they want to bring it all to you, the day of, and then you
Yeah.
can ship it, you can mail it all, in
It
one.
cannot come from you though.
Right.
The
It has-
check,
the check.
the check can't be written from you.
If it
Right.
comes from you, it will not be matched. So it needs to come
So
from.
if other teacher wants to write it to my teaching friend, it's going to be to Lifesong, but with our number on it
Yes.
and not our name.
Or they could give her all cash and
Right.
then she writes one check. Your
To
friend.
Lifesong.
To
Mhm.
Lifesong, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah, that's always a fun technical thing to figure out, because they're gonna hand you $1 bills at times, and that's not a check, and it's not tax deductible, and it has to be in that form of a check going to Lifelong
It is,
before
okay.
it's all said and done. Any other questions?
You out there, you Streamland, any question?
Y'all can
Text.
I know y'all said year by year you kind of added different elements, and y'all may have already introduced elements that are new to this year. I think you mentioned the sponsors are going to be a part. Are there other kind of new things for this year that have been added that y'all haven't done previously? And if so, what are those, and how can we make the most of those?
I think this year we're mainly just trying to get better with each thing. Like even last year with our race families, like this group right here, we were in August and September trying to get things together that we're doing right now, and so.
Some families, we didn't meet until the Friday of the race weekend.
Yeah, we had not ever been face to face with them, and so one of our main focuses this year was to start earlier on sponsorships, because we found that, and actually I'll use this as an opportunity to give these out. Actually, do you want to hear this? This is our brochure for our sponsors. You know, in our life group class and other groups that I talk to, companies that you're around, that you work for, that your friends or brothers or sisters or parents work for, a lot of these companies have money that they are going to give away during the year. And so what we were encountering with waiting until, you know, our race last year was in November, is that people had already given away all their money for the year. So one thing that we did was we started earlier this year and starting to ask some of those companies. But we also, our network is not as large, you know, as what it is, you know, when you guys come into this process. And so one way that you could benefit us is as you see companies that might be a good, you know, potential to be a sponsor of the race. Again, if they come in and they're sponsoring, they're going to be exposed to this kind of larger scale vision for, you know, children around the world. But it is also going to allow us to say yes to more people next year. And so our sponsors are a huge part of this. So that's something we've been working on. Then the other thing was to more specifically and intentionally connect with you guys earlier so that the applications are in, so that y'all have more time to put your teams together, so that I'm not begging Lifelong to please expedite these applications like they're going to this week. And things of that nature. And so, but we'll actually start having our planning meetings with our leadership team in the next month or two. And so at that point, that's usually where the new ideas are birthed. Is in those
So if y'all have any
meetings.
ideas, we're open, because every year there's always something, something that comes, well, why don't we try this?
Yes.
So if I did have an idea the other day, I was like, well, why don't we do a concert that night? You know, a benefit concert. And Jerry was like, no. So if we do that, it might be a different night.
Usually I'm the one that says the crazy things and she's saying no. So I was cracking up when she texted me. I was like, well, I won't say no because I've done some pretty crazy things, but I might lose my brain.
We're usually asleep at like 6 o'clock on Friday.
No, we're usually gathering at our house that night.
Oh, that's true.
So what another question that was texted was when we'll be choosing the families. What we'll know is as those applications come in and they're approved, so we'll start with the families whose applications are already in and approved, and we'll just be kind of getting, we going through some of those, seeing where they are in the process. Some are done, some don't need money, some are fully funded, but we'll go through those and say, is this something that you want to participate in this year? And then as we go through those, then we'll add the new people in whose applications come in. And so with, you know, everybody who's here present right now, if y'all move in the process, you're probably going to be fine. You know, our numbers look that way. I would say within 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to be completely full, is my guess. And so, and don't panic if you send your application in and it's taking Lifelong a week or 2 or 4 or 6 weeks to get to it. Once it hits their desk, you're in the process.
Just
So,
communicate with us. Let
yes.
us know where you are, so that we can kind of keep you, you know, on our list in our brain.
Yes, and when you send the application in, you can let me know. I mean, it goes to them. They've never lost anything, but I still usually text Rich and I say, you should have the Blackards on your desk today. You should have the Beasleys on your desk Monday. You should have the Hillmans on your desk Wednesday. You know, and so I'm usually keeping up with things so that if there was any miscommunication or if an application was filled out without our specially, you know, coded number that it's ours, that they would still catch those kind of things. Let's see. And it says, how soon will we know if one of these families can participate in the race? As soon as we know it's your desire to participate and your application is in and approved, then we'll let you know that you're one of the families. And what we'll do as far as communication goes is on Facebook, we'll pull everybody together on a private Facebook page and we'll add you into that so that we can just talk and share ideas. And you know, like last year, you know, I don't know what to tell you about where to go find the cute little stickers that everybody likes to do, you know, but other families on the page, they're like, oh, well, so-and-so said this, and I found this here, and I did this there, and that saved a lot of money. And so it's a really good place just to kind of share ideas and encourage each other too. Any other questions? Well, let's go ahead and stop the recording. And then if,